For this tutorial video, I'm only going to be making a small sample, so make sure that you are following along with the exact numbers written in your pattern. So to start with, we're going to take our 6mm USJ hook, and then we're going to take our main color, and we're going to create a slip knot. So we'll create our slip knot. And then place that on our hook. Once that's placed, we're going to chain the number of chains listed in our pattern. Again, for me, I'm going to be doing a smaller amount because I'm doing a sample size, but make sure you're chaining the right number that's listed in your pattern. Once you finish your chain, you are now ready to begin row 1, which is the right side row. To do this, we are going to start by going into the second chain from our hook. So I've got this chain that's on my hook that doesn't count. Then this chain is the first one. This one is the second one. In that second chain from my hook, I'm going to work a single crochet. So to work a single crochet, we will insert our hook into that chain, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Once we have those 2 loops on our hook, we'll yarn over and just pull through both of them. And that creates our first single crochet. After that, we're going to go into the next chain. And in that chain, we are going to work the next stitch up, which is a half double crochet. So a half double crochet, we are going to yarn over, insert our hook into that second chain, yarn over, and pull up a loop just through that chain. And we'll have these 3 loops on our hook. Once we have those 3 loops, we will then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on our hook. Then, in the next chain, we're going to do the next stitch up. So after half double, we're going to do a double crochet. So to do the double crochet, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, and we'll now have 3 loops on our hook. In this case, because we want to do a full-blown double crochet, we're going to yarn over and pull through just those first 2 loops, then yarn over and pull through those second 2 loops. Now notice that we've got the single, half double, and double have slowly started to increase in height, and that's exactly what we want. Now that I've done my double crochet, the next stitch up is going to be a treble crochet. So in this next chain, I'm going to do a treble by doing a yarn over twice around my hook. Then insert my hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, and there should now be 4 loops on my hook. Once I have those 4 loops, I will then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I've done that 3 times to give myself a treble crochet. After that, we've got 2 more stitches to go in our repeat pattern here. So we're going to now do what's called a double treble crochet. So a double treble crochet is just going to be the next step up from this treble crochet. To do that, we're going to yarn over 3 times. Once we yarn over 3 times, I'm going to insert my hook into that next chain, yarn over and pull up a loop. There will now be 5 loops on my hook. Then I do the same thing I did with this treble crochet. I yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And notice that there were 4 times that I pulled through. So that's 1 more than the stitch before. Our final stitch that we're going to be making is called a triple treble crochet. And if you can probably pick up on the pattern here, it's going to do 1 more yarn over and 1 more pull through 2 than the previous stitch to give it 1 more bit of extra height. So in this case, we're going to yarn over 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Find my next chain right here. insert my hook, pull up a loop, and there will now be 6 loops on my hook. Once I have those 6 loops, I then yarn over and pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Oopsie, I messed up. Here, let me start over. All right, I'm going to start over, yarn over, pull through 2 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And that is the tallest stitch that we are going to be creating. So once you have those first 6 stitches here, single, half double, double, treble, double treble, triple treble, you're now ready to start going backwards and repeating back through these same stitches, going back down. So after this, we're going to now return to our double treble crochet. So we're going to yarn over 3 times, insert into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. After that double treble, we're then going to do our treble crochet. So we'll yarn over twice, insert into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we'll do the double crochet. So yarn over once, insert into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we'll do our half double crochet, yarn over, insert our hook, pull up our loop, 3 loops on the hook. We'll just yarn over and go through all 3 loops. And then we'll be back to repeating everything that we just made here. So the next stitch we're about to make is a single crochet. That's going to be just like this single crochet here at the beginning. That's going to repeat this entire pattern of going up and then back down. So you'll just repeat all of that across the number of times listed in your pattern. Once you do that, I will go ahead and meet you back up to show you how to do row 2. Once we finish row 1, you're going to already start seeing this nice wave pattern forming, just like I've got right here. And once we have that, we are now ready to begin row 2. So to begin row 2, we're going to turn our work. And this time we're pretty much going to do the opposite of all the previous stitches in the first row. So the first time we started with a single crochet. This time we're starting with the tallest stitch. We're going to be starting with a triple treble crochet. But at the beginning of this, we don't really have the height to be able to do that. So instead, we're going to do a chain 6 to get up to the same height, and that's going to count as our first stitch. So all I do is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that will act as my triple treble crochet in this very first stitch. So since that counts as our first stitch, we're going to skip this first single crochet. And then in the half double crochet, we're going to work the next tallest stitch, which was our double treble crochet. So we're going to yarn over 3 times, insert our hook into that half double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Once we have that, we will then do the next stitch down, which will be our treble crochet. So I will yarn over 2 times, find my next stitch here, insert my hook, and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Once I have that, the next stitch is a double crochet. So yarn over, insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then I'll have a half double crochet to work next. So yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Then I should be here at the tallest stitch from the previous row. That means I'm going to be putting my shortest stitch in top of it. So that's going to be my single crochet. So I will insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And we can now see that that kind of balances out the waves so that the top is now back to being flat instead of this wave pattern, but we're still going to get a nice wave pattern from the previous row, and we're going to still get that from working this repeat stitch pattern here. So now that I've done that, we are ready to continue by going back up in height to the taller stitches. So after my single crochet, the next stitch I'm going to work is a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Then double crochet into the next stitch, then treble crochet into the next stitch, then double treble into the next stitch, and finally we'll be back to a triple treble, which is just like the beginning of our row here. So now we're ready to start repeating all of these stitches again across this row. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up my second row, and then I'm going to get to the end and show you what to do to transition from our main color to our contrasting color. I have now reached the end of this row, but I have not worked my final stitch. So my final stitch is going to be my very last triple treble crochet. But before I work that stitch, I'm actually going to prepare by bringing in my contrasting color, because we're going to do something special to be able to join this color in to begin that next row. So to begin with, we're going to start by doing our triple treble crochet, inserting it, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm going to do this all the way until the very last yarn over and pull through. So right here, I would normally grab this yarn and pull it through these last 2, but instead what I'm going to do is pull that color, or set that color aside. And now I'm going to bring in my contrasting color. I'm going to lay that over my hook, leaving a nice little tail there. And I'm going to do that final pull through with this new yarn. And what that does is it transitions this crochet stitch into the next color, and it creates this nice clean transition so that you don't have this kind of like weird bump of blue that goes up into the next row by doing that next transition. Because if I had done it with the blue yarn, the blue would have been up here on this third row, but we don't want that. We want the blue to stop right here on row 2. So by doing it this way, we have stopped the blue down here, and we're about to begin the yellow on row 3. Once we have that yellow joined in, or whatever contrasting color you have, we're going to turn our work. And now it's just a matter of repeating the same things we did in these first 2 rows, but this time in our new color. So for this first stitch, we're going to chain 1, which will secure the yellow to it, but also will act as the turning chain for our very first single crochet. So in this first stitch, I'm going to just work a single crochet, just like we did at the very first row. So insert my hook into that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and now my single crochet is done. Once I do that, I will then continue in pattern by doing a half double crochet into the next stitch, then a double crochet into the next one, then a treble crochet into the next one, and a double treble, and then a triple treble. Then I go ahead and continue by doing the descending order. So after that triple treble, I will then make the next stitch down, which is the double treble. And then the treble crochet. Then the double crochet, the half double crochet, and then I'll be back to working a single crochet, which will then begin my repeat pattern of everything I just did here. So that's basically the same instruction as row 1, but just in your contrasting color. So again, I'm going to finish up this second row, and then I'll meet you back to work the third row. Sorry, this third row. Oops, my number's wrong. I'm going to finish up this third row, and then I'll meet you back to talk about the fourth row. One thing I want to show is at the end of this row, you're going to run into this chain that acted like our triple treble crochet from the previous row. All you do is you'll work your final single crochet into somewhere in the top of this chain. It doesn't really matter where, just kind of pick the top of the chain, insert your hook and pull up your loop, and then pull through 2, and it will look like it's just been worked into a regular stitch. With that, we are now ready to begin working our fourth row. So to do that, we're going to turn our work. And just like with row 2, we're going to start with a chain 6 to act like our first triple treble crochet. Once we do that, we will then begin our pattern by working our double treble crochet into the next stitch. Followed by a treble crochet into the next stitch. Then a double crochet, half double crochet, and single crochet. Then we'll start going up, and so we'll do a half double crochet into this next one, then a double crochet, treble crochet, double treble crochet, and now we'll be back to working a triple treble crochet and therefore starting the repeat of what we just did here. So I'm going to work all of that until I get to the very end, and then I'll show you how to transition back to your main color. All right, once again, I have left my last stitch unworked so that I can show you how to transition back to your main color here. So I am going to start by working my triple treble crochet into this last single crochet here. But I'm going to stop before my final yarn over and pull through. So what I'm going to now do is set my yellow aside and pick back up the blue that I dropped earlier. And without tugging too tightly or anything like that, I'm just going to kind of line it up and grab it and pull through and finish with my blue. And it's going to have this kind of really long piece that goes up here. That is okay, because later we are going to be adding a border around our square. And so we're going to use the border to kind of cover up all of these transitionary pieces of yarn whenever we did our color changes. I like using this technique because 1, it does the clean color transitions, but also 2, it minimizes the amount of yarn ends that you'll have to weave in later, which I'm sure you maybe understand is the worst part, in my opinion, of doing any kind of color work for crochet, is all of those yarn ends. So I try to minimize how many yarn ends I have to weave in, and this is a great technique for that. So once you transition back to your main color, you are now ready to begin your next row, which is literally just a repeat of everything we've already done. So you're just going to repeat rows 1 and 2 in your main color, 3 and 4 in your contrasting color, and then 1 and 2, 3 and 4, so on and so forth, until you reach the 12 inches that you need for your square. So I'm going to go ahead and work up my sample, and then I'll meet you back to show you how to do the border. All right, I've just finished working up my little sample square here. So you can see those nice little wave patterns going on. And when I finished off that last row, I've gone ahead and turned it over to the right side so that I can be ready to begin my border. Now the border is going to be worked in the main color, but obviously you can work it in whichever color you would like. If you want to, change it up and do a contrasting color, you could do that. But for me, I went ahead and fastened off my contrasting color so that I can do my border in the main color. So to do this, I'm going to start by doing a chain 1, and then I'm just going to single crochet in every stitch across this row. So single crochet into every stitch across until I get to the end of the row. Once you get to the last stitch, in this case it's going to be this chain 6 that acts like a triple treble crochet. In this stitch, I'm going to work 3 singles into that stitch to create my corner. So I'll work 1, 2, 3 stitches, and that will basically make a little corner here so that I can now turn and start working down the side of my square. So to work along the side here, just to avoid any kind of gaps or anything like that, what I'll try to do is work into the chains themselves. So then that way I'm not working and creating this giant hole on the sides of my square. But obviously, if you're okay with that, then you can feel free to do that. But I'm going ahead and just basically working a single crochet into each chain. And then when I get here to these single crochets that were on the sides here, I go ahead and work into that single crochet. And then I continue working that down, working those single crochets evenly across. Now, notice that this is the side that does not have those floating pieces of yarn. So on this side, it's easy just to work down the sides. And then just keep working evenly until you get to this corner down here. I'm almost to the end here. And then once you reach this chain that forms the bottom of your square, you're then going to do the same thing that you did here, where you're going to do 3 single crochets to form your corner. So in this bottom chain, I'm just going to work 3 single crochets. To create my corner. And now I can turn and work along the bottom of my square. And essentially you're just going to work a single crochet into each chain. And this doesn't have to be perfect or exact. It just has to basically be like, okay, you get roughly 1 single crochet for every chain. And you can kind of line them up with each of these stitches. So this was where the bottom of this stitch came out of. So that's where I'm going to insert my hook. And I just use that as kind of a general guide for where to insert my hook to keep making my single crochets along the bottom of my square. And you just keep doing that all the way across until you reach the other side. And just like before, once we reach that last chain, we're going to work 3 single crochets to create a corner. And we're now ready to begin working along this opposite side of our square. So this is the last side, and this is the one that does have those kind of floating pieces of yarn from when we did our color transitions. So I'm going to show you how to work around those to help hide them. So this first one, there was no color transition because it was just the first row of our main color. So we're just going to work like normal, just working a single crochet evenly. And I'm going to work into the actual stitches themselves, just so I don't create a big gap by working into this hole right there. Then once I reach the contrasting color here, I'm going to see that I have my main color blue and my contrasting color yellow. All you do is when you work your single crochet, you'll insert into your stitch or the part of that stitch, and then make sure you just go around that yarn and form your single crochet. Then you just do the same thing, making sure you're going through the stitch and around that yarn as well when you form your single crochet. And it will help basically just hide that thread, that loose piece of yarn around it. Now it just kind of tucks a little bit here into the back, but it does not show anything besides just a border like we have on the opposite side. You can then do the same thing when you get to the contrasting yellow here. You'll just make sure that when you insert your hook, you're going to go through your stitch and around the contrasting color, and then wrap your single crochet around it, and then just keep doing that all the way across. And it should tuck that yellow inside of your main color stitches. It will slightly poke through, but overall, since that's to the back anyway, you're not going to see it here when it's on the front. Once you have worked across all 4 sides, you're going to get right back to that very first single crochet that you worked at the beginning. And so what you're going to do when you reach here is, because there's already 1 single crochet here, you're actually going to work 2 single crochets into this same stitch that we began in to create that little 3 single crochet corner there. So in this last stitch, I'm going to work 1, 2 single crochets. Then I'm going to slip stitch into that very first single crochet by inserting my hook into that stitch, yarn over, and just pull through everything on my hook. Once I do that, I'm able to take my scissors, leave myself some tail for waving in, pull through, and I am now done making the border. So once you have that border made, all that's left now is just the little finishing touches. So that's going to include taking your yarn ends, weaving them in with your yarn needle, and then washing and blocking it to fit your 12-inch by 12 inches. And with that, you are now finished with your square. I thank you so much for joining me with this tutorial video. I hope that you did find it helpful. If you did, please make sure you give this video a like. And if you want to, feel free to also subscribe to my channel so you can keep up with future tutorial videos. You can also follow and tag me on Instagram at Cocky Crocheter so that I can see all of your beautiful squares for this CAL. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful day.